What's up, everybody? Welcome to Buzzworthy TV. And I'm the girl, Lady T. And tonight we are talking Real Housewives of Atlanta. Y'all, I hope y'all are having a good weekend. I know yesterday I came to y'all kind of stressed out. And I was stressed out. I was tired. But I had an awesome Sunday. Didn't get a chance to make it to church like I wanted to. But I slept in, got up, hung out with two of my favorite people. One of my friends, it was her birthday, so me and my best friend took her out to the movies. We saw Get Hard. Y'all, if y'all have not seen that and y'all need to pick me up and y'all need to laugh, go see Get Hard with Kevin Hart and Will Ferrell. OMG, it is funny. A little raunchy, but it's funny. So, yeah, I'm back. I'm rejuvenated. Let's get into this episode, y'all. This episode wasn't really about much, but I'm just going to highlight basically the important parts and just have at it, whatever. Okay, so everybody is getting ready to go to the Philippines. Nene's not coming because she has to get ready to start on Broadway. So she's not coming. That leaves the rest of the girls to go on this trip and continue to work that they started at Dr. Jeff's counseling session. So, they all get together, they fly to the Philippines, and everyone is getting settled. Claudia, so she put the trip together. Everybody, when they get there, she's assigning everybody their room, and she gives Phaedra the second best room. And of course, Claudia has the first best. But anyway, so everybody's getting settled, everybody's happy, yada, yada, yada. So anyway, the next day, Claudia and Phaedra decide to have lunch. Now, this was good because Claudia said despite them being in the same circle, they never had any one-on-one time or a long time. They never really spent any time together. So she wanted to take this opportunity to, get to know Phaedra. And even Phaedra said herself in the confessional, she thought that they were polar opposites, so she didn't go out of her way to get to know Claudia. So anyway, they sit down and they talk about Phaedra's issues. And basically, Claudia wants her to know, look, I know we're not the closest in this group, but I just wanted to talk to you and let you know that I'm with you. I understand where you're coming from because I went through a very nasty divorce. I was married for a short time and it didn't end up well. So I kind of know how you feel. And she was like, it got to the point, his family was telling me, God, what was I about to say, y'all? I'm sorry. Basically they were church folks and God don't really, excuse me. Anyway, so basically God holds the sanctity of marriage very high. You just don't be getting divorced for any and everything. So his people was basically encouraging her to forgive him so they could work it out. But she just couldn't. It was just too much going on. And she was like, you know what, despite what they're talking about, despite, the sanctity of marriage, I got to do this for me to be happy. And she asked Phaedra basically, what was your breaking point? And she was like, I really can't tell you. Not that she really couldn't tell her because they didn't know each other that well, but basically she couldn't tell her because it was so many things. And Phaedra starts crying, talking about it's not just her. She's also, she's just hurt because it don't necessarily affect her. It also affects her kids. And, she got her son asking, can everybody just say they're sorry and make up? And I do feel bad for Phaedra. I know a lot of people don't. I know a lot of people saying, like I keep saying in these reviews, she knew what she was getting into. She more than likely knew what he was doing. So she only has herself to blame. So stop crying, stop playing the victim. While I am not, again, excusing how Phaedra can be, because in a lot of ways she is playing the victim role. But I do feel her in the fact that there is no denying that she is now a single mother, about to go through a divorce. And she got these children to think about. There's no denying that. So I do sympathize with her on that. But all this woe is me and what Apollo did to me and this and that, miss me with that. When it comes to her and Apollo, I really don't want to hear it. Because as far as their actual marriage, I think it was a little tit for tat. I think she knew what was going on. Was he out of line in a lot of shit that he did? Absolutely. We saw stuff on camera. It was like, really, Apollo? Really? You don't see your wife right there? Just like last year, I believe they went to Mexico. If it wasn't Mexico, it was Puerto Rico. Can't remember. But last year, when he left her upstairs in the hotel room to continue partying when she wanted him to stay upstairs with her. And I was just like, wow. And he didn't give a care. It's just, he was just so callous. So I kind of do believe that he was cheating on her. He wasn't treating her the best. But again, Phaedra, I don't believe you was innocent in this either. So you don't get sympathy from me when it comes to you and Apollo's relationship. But I do understand the plight that you have to be a single mother and explain to these children where their father's at. You know, I definitely understand that. So then we got Kenya. She's checking in basically with Brandon. Yada, yada, yada. He's letting her know that everything is going good with the pilot. Whatever. So then Candy and Phaedra. Basically, they getting together because Candy wants to understand what's going on. Like, they had a conversation, like she said, before they came to the Philippines. But it's still some underlying tension. She's still hearing from the other girls that apparently Phaedra still has an issue. She's still feeling some type of way. So they go to have massages. And Candy, being the upfront person that she is, she gets right into it. Her thing is, hey, you know, we talked and I thought we were good, but you know, Cynthia and everybody saying that we still have problems. Even when I went to the counseling session with Dr. Jeff, I was like, I don't even know why I'm here. And Dr. Jeff said, well, you know, to work out your issues with Phaedra. And she was like, I just didn't think we had issues. So I just want to know, what are you telling people to make people think that we have all these issues? And Phaedra was like, I didn't really tell them anything. They probably just basically reading in between the lines and probably taking things out of context. And Candy believes that because, like she said, yes, things in this group do get out of context. But Phaedra does also let her know, like, hey, I did feel some type of way. Like, even out of that conversation, you ain't call me, you don't invite me nowhere. You know, I'll be seeing your Instagram partying and just like, dang. And I understand where she's coming from, because if you follow Candy, before all this shit happened, her and Phaedra were like this. Every time it was like a girl's thing or even a couple's thing. Like, Phaedra was always there, or Phaedra and Apollo. It was, whenever it was something talking about friends or family, Phaedra was always in that shot, that group shot. Like, it was so many times where it was like, oh, there go Candy and Phaedra again. Oh, they hanging out. You know, it was like, if you follow on Instagram, before this, Phaedra was all over Candy's Instagram hanging out, you know, just being BFFs. Two good Judys, you know, as they say. So I understand what she feel like, okay, like Candy switched up on her. And do I think Candy switched up on her? I do. And let me tell you why. I think she switched up on her because it's not because Apollo went to jail and she don't want to be associated with that. That's not, that don't seem to be Candy's MO. I think it's just that Candy's been going through her own thing. You know, she's been under a lot of stress. And then also, it seems to be a situation where if you're not completely agreeing with Phaedra, she tends to kind of like shut you out. Like, she ain't gonna just like not call you or talk to you. She just, you know, kind of get quiet and be like, and kind of size you up. For instance, when they continued their talk, she was like, Well, I could say the same thing about you and Nene and you and Portia. I be seeing y'all on Instagram. Y'all hang out. And she was like, oh, God, don't get me about you and Nene. You know, she barely wanted to acknowledge you. She even denied that y'all even knew each other. And I just feel like if you can bury the hatchet with her, which is all good, then you should be able to bury the hatchet with Cynthia, Kenya, Autumn, because none of them said nothing nearly as bad as what Nene has said about you in the past. And Phaedra goes, well, that's a matter of opinion. And just left it like that. Like, so it's kind of hard. She just shuts you down and builds up this brick wall if you don't agree with her. And I think that's the problem. I think it really started with Candy voicing her opinion that Phaedra should let Apollo see the kids when he goes to jail. And, you know, initially, Phaedra was completely against it. So it probably drew a wedge between them from there. Because she probably felt like, oh, you're not on my side because you don't agree with me. And that's not true. The basis of a friendship is to be there for you through good times and bad, and to also be able to tell you the truth, whether you like it or not. So, and I think that's the problem. Phaedra don't want to hear she don't want to hear the ugly about herself. And you know, when someone don't agree with her, it becomes a problem. And I think that's what it is. She's almost like Nene, but not to that brazen, confrontational extent where she just got to overtalk people and nothing like that. She will hear you out somewhat. She's not as bad as Nene. But yeah, her and Nene do got that really bad. If you not completely down for them, then you're not down for them all. It's like you either with me or you're against me. And that's not how real friendships work. But I really do want them to get it together because, like I said, I just had this feeling about reality TV where it ruins friendships and marriages, and I just don't want them to happen to them because they were really good friends, and I want them to continue to be really good friends. So hopefully they can genuinely work it out this time. So anyway, then we had the girls doing yoga. Not a really interesting scene, but it was funny because Candy's a little out of shape and she had a little trouble doing those stretches. And then one stretch they had, she fell asleep in the midst of it. It was just funny. So we just know yoga ain't Candy's thing. Whatever. So anyway, then Claudia assembles all the girls to dinner because she wants to finish talking. She wants to continue to mend bridges with everyone because everyone seems to be on a good, supposed to be in good standing with one another. The atmosphere is good, and she just wants the entire trip to be peaceful. So she wants to, anything that could be lingering out there to get solved and for them to talk about it. So anyway, everybody gets there, and she kind of assigns seats, so the cliques don't always click together. So, it's a little switched up or whatever. So anyway, they talk about, first of all, Claudia brings up Cynthia and Phaedra, and she was basically saying that, I know it's some underlying tension, and I do think y'all need to sit down and bury the hatchet. Is there any way that you guys can move past this? Well, Portia and Candy look at each other and they just start laughing because their whole thing is, oh, I guess she's trying to be Dr. Phil or whatever. So anyway, Claudia kind of gives her that look like let them talk. And here comes Portia like, no, I'm grown. Let's just get this straight. I'm grown. And if me and Candy want to exchange looks, then we can do that. And I'm like, Portia, we cannot make this about you. Like, I understand you probably didn't like Claudia kind of shushing you, but it wasn't that big of a deal for you to be all up, like, hold on, I'm grown. Like, no. Like, simmer that down. It's a time, place for everything. Pick and choose your battles. And that was just stupid. That's just my opinion. Anyway, so they start arguing, it becomes this whole argument because you know, Kenya's like, there she go, looking, time to take this moment, make it about her. And so, you know, Kenya and Portia start going at it. And Claudia trying to get everybody to simmer down. She hitting the fork against the glass and she ends up breaking it. Anyway, that shuts them up. And so she asks Cynthia and Phaedra again, do y'all, you know, is there any way y'all can move past this? And Cynthia says, you know what? I am totally sorry for what I've done. I apologize because you're right. That was between you and Apollo. And I never wanted to, you know, basically, she never wanted to discuss something that was between Phaedra and her husband. But the damage is done. And like Phaedra, she put up that wall again. Because when Claudia asked her, Phaedra, do you have anything to say? She took a sip of her soup and was like, I don't have nothing to say to Cynthia. Like, one thing about Phaedra that I'm going to need her to work on is when she's done with you, she's done with you. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes people are genuinely sorry. And sometimes you really do miss out on a good friendship or a good association when you just don't take the time to hear people out. Once you hear a person out, and you feel like it's bullshit, then you can probably proceed to give them the shade. But you don't even take the time to hear people out. You just, there you go. Wall up. You know, so I'm going to need her to work on that. But anyway, then the conversation turns to Phaedra and Kenya. And Kenya is like, you know, I'm not trying to interject, but you know, you're shutting her out like you're shutting me out. You know, I've tried several times to talk to you, and you shut me down like you shut her down. And Claudia said, you know what? I feel like Kenya and Portia need to have a conversation so they can hash out their issues without us because it's deep rooted, and we don't need to be a part of it. And she asks, would they be willing to have a private conversation? Of course, Kenya said yes, and surprisingly, Phaedra says the same thing. She said, I would like to have that conversation. And now that's where the episode ends. But here's my thing about this conversation that they're going to have. This is how you can tell that she kind of does respect Candy's opinion, even though she acted like she wasn't trying to hear. I think Candy putting that in her ear about, hey, if you can move forward with Candy, oh my God, why am I getting these names mixed up? If you can move forward with Nene, and, you know, if y'all can move forward, then you can try to move forward with Kenya and Cynthia as well. So, like I said, even though she was acting like she was not trying to hear what Candy was trying to say, she listened, and it's stuck in a little bit because she's going to have that conversation with Kenya. So anyway, y'all, that was the episode. Till next time, y'all. Peace and love.